So good morning. How you ladies doing? Sleepy? Okay. I will try and be as interesting as possible. So my name is Jenee Darden, and I work for an organization called Peers in Oakland, and we do mental health advocacy, and we empower people that have mental health challenges, and I'm also a journalist. And so what I do there is that I use my media talent, my media skills, and journalism skills to promote mental health awareness and empowerment in the community. So my presentation today, I've worked other places besides Peers, but my presentation today is called Dream Big and Live It Up, because I want to encourage all of you to, not be afraid to go for what you want, not be afraid to dream big. That's what I did growing up. I'm from East Oakland. I grew up in East Oakland. I went to St. Elizabeth High School in East Oakland. So I just want you all to know that you can dream big, you can have what you want. You got to work hard for it, but you can make it happen. But you just have to have the right thinking. So can you get the next slide? So I know it's kind of dark. That's me to the, you all ninth grade, right? Yeah. Going into ninth grade? Okay, so this was me at your age. So I wanted to show you like, hey, I was in the ninth grade too. So actually this is me and my dinner dance back in 19-something, I won't say when. So that was me and my dinner dance when I was in 8th grade. And then that's me to the right, graduating from USC. So I have a undergraduate degree from UC San Diego in ethnic studies. I'm very passionate about looking at race and culture. And then I went to the University of Southern California to get my master's degree in journalism. So I'm still the same girl. I'm a woman now. I'm just stronger, smarter, and bolder. Next slide. So how I was able to get to that place was this quote came to me from Maya Angelou, and I've always carried it with me. You all know who Maya Angelou is? The poet? Okay. And so I always carried this with me. And she said, success is loving life and daring to live it. Can anybody tell me what you think that means? Success is loving life and daring to live it. No? Any guesses? What does it mean? What does you think she means by daring to live it? Y'all are asleep. Oh, yes.
Taking chances.
Right, taking chances, right? So sometimes there may be things you want to do in life that people are like, you sure you want to do that? I mean, I love journalism. I always wanted to go into journalism. And some people were like, maybe you should be a lawyer. Maybe you should be a doctor. But that was something I was very passionate about and that I wanted to do. And so I had to just kind of follow my own heart, follow my own passions. And I wanted to go into journalism for a few reasons. One of the reasons why is because I love to write. I've been writing since I was 7 years old. I got my first journal from my mother when I was 7 years old, so I've always wanted to write. Also, too, I love people. I love communicating with people. I love talking to people. I love to travel, and so journalism has allowed me a space where I can travel and go to different places. It's given me those kind of opportunities. And then, too, I like purpose. So for me, I wanted to go into journalism because I feel like there's a lot of stories that aren't being told, whether it's, I know for me, sometimes I have issues with the news because I grew up in East Oakland and so much of the news there is negative, and I know that's not always the case. Or sometimes there's stories about women or women of color or people who are gay or whatever that don't get told. And then for now, I'm working in mental health. And so there's a lot of stories about people that have mental health challenges that are doing extraordinary things that don't get told. And so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to go into journalism, is because I want to give people a voice to share their stories and just to show the world that there's other kind of things going on that sometimes that we don't see in the mainstream. So, and then when you dare to live your dreams, that's why success is loving life. Because when I was 12, I saw a story on 60 Minutes. Anybody watch 60 Minutes? You guys should watch the news. But there was a story, and they said like 70% of Americans don't like their jobs. And I know that if you spend most of your time at work, then what does that mean? Right, or most of the time, most of the time you're not happy. And so I made a promise to myself at 12. I was like, I'm not going to have a job that I don't enjoy. So that's why she says success is loving life. Because if you're loving your life and you're loving what you're doing, or you go to a job where it doesn't feel like you're working, then that's great. Next slide. So what does it take to be a journalist? So first, of course, anything you do, whether it's journalism or not, you have to believe in yourself. You have to read. Read so you can know what's going on in the news. Read so you can know what's going on in the world. And also, too, reading makes you a better writer. Because when you read, you can kind of pick up different writing styles. You also have to be a good writer, because if somebody can't read your script or somebody can't read your article and it doesn't make sense and there's typos, not going to work. multimedia talent. So you have to be a good writer, but you also may need to learn how to edit video. You also may need to learn how to do photography. You also may need to learn how to edit audio, which is what I do. You have to have a good attitude because nobody wants to work with someone who has a bad attitude, right? So you want to go into the workplace having a good attitude. You have to be open-minded. There may be people you have to interview that you disagree with. One of my sorority sisters, she's a reporter in South Carolina, and she has to interview people about the Trayvon Martin trial, and she was nervous about it, because they may have feelings that she didn't agree with. But that's being a journalist. You have to be open-minded and have to, ask questions and be balanced and talk to people who may not agree with you. And then you have to just be yourself, and that comes clear. Just be yourself. Be loving yourself, be proud of who you are, and just be yourself when you go out there. Next slide. So, like I said earlier, one of the reasons why I wanted to go into journalism is because I wanted to meet a lot of people. So when I used to live in LA, and I was a entertainment news producer. That was one of my jobs in LA at National Public Radio in PR. And so I got to meet a lot of really cool people. Anybody recognize any of these famous faces? Marvin Gaye, girl, no, Marvin Gaye. I was like, I hope not. John Legend. I was like, if I took a picture of Marvin Gaye, that's scary, because that would have been his ghost. Anybody else you recognize? Yep, Kelly Rowland, the last woman on the end.
I know her about her name. Ain't that girl that played on the game?
No, that's Candy from the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Yeah. So these are people I met. Some of these people I met in LA. Some of these people I met just, doing stuff here in Oakland. The woman on the bottom, on this side, I want you to know her name is Ava DuVernay. So if you could write her down if you have a pen, her name is Ava DuVernay. She was the first Black female director to win Best Director Award at Sundance. And I really respect her because she couldn't get funding to make movies that she wanted to make with women of color. And so she just learned how to make movies and is making herself. Anybody watch Scandal? Okay, she's going to be directing some episodes of Scandal coming up. But she took initiative, and she went and got her dream. She went after her dream and did it. So you guys should definitely know who she is. These people at the bottom, you don't know. Those are two of my sorority sisters. The one in the middle, her name is Ori. We were at her graduation. She's a doctor. She graduated from UCLA. And I wanted to show these pictures of these women because they're extraordinary, and they came from beginnings just like I did. They were raised. They went to public school. I went to private school. They went to public school growing up. They didn't have a lot of money, but they did it. My sorority sister on the end, Joanna, she's a pharmacist. So these are two women that are doctors. So, and they look just like us, and they did it. So you can do it too. Next slide. So I also want to encourage you to travel. How many people have been outside of California? Good. How many people have been outside the country? Okay, good, okay. So I want to encourage you to travel, which is one of the reasons why I went into journalism. There's a big world out there. Go explore it, go see it. There's so many things you can learn. There's so many people you can meet. I mean, I've been to Miami, I've been to Mexico, I've been to London. This is me from East Oakland, going to see all these places, getting to meet all these interesting people and interview and just have a good time. Next slide, please. And also, too, I've been to Belgium, and that was me in New Orleans. Now, I don't eat like that every day, but I was on vacation, so I had to have some catfish. But, just go. It's so much fun to, interact with people in different cultures and meet different people and eat different food. So, get your passports and go and see the world. Next slide. So, also, too, I said I wanted to go into journalism to meet people and communicate with people. I wanted to go into journalism to travel and to explore. And then I wanted to do it, too, because for a purpose, to help people, to educate people. So right now I'm working at an organization called Peers. And so as I said before, we empower people with mental health challenges. We advocate for people with mental health challenges, make sure they get rights. And we're trying to bring mental health awareness to the community so we can end stigma and discrimination against people with mental health challenges. What to you does mental health mean? When you hear mental health, what do you think of?
Yeah. They think differently than other people. Like, it might take them a little longer to process certain things that might come easy to most people.
Okay. Anybody else? What about the person, when you see the man on the street in Berkeley and he's talking to himself, what do you think?
You crazy?
Okay. That's what some people would say. And what does crazy mean to you? Okay, okay. Anybody else say? You in the pink, what does that mean to you? You were dialoguing with her. So what is?
I know I said what's normal.
That's a good question. What is normal, right? So some of the you've heard of depression, right? You've heard of things like depression. What is depression?
You just sad.
Sad, okay. Very sad, right? You've heard maybe other diagnoses like bipolar disorder.
Yeah, that was known. But isn't schizophrenia, that's the one where you have imaginary friends?
So schizophrenia is like it's a mental health condition where you hallucinate. Sometimes, or maybe, like you said, maybe the thinking is differently. What you say?
We have like 2 personalities.
So that is, they renamed it. That's multiple personality. I don't think that's the term it is anymore, but I know it's like multiple personality disorder, the way they called it. Go ahead.
Is it schizophrenia or whatever? Like my friend's sister died from that because like they said she was hearing like voices or something.
Okay.
And they were telling her to do stuff and she just couldn't take care of it.
Okay, so yeah, so those are some, so the things that you all threw out there, I work with some of those people that have those kind of challenges. And some of those people are leaders in the community. Some of those people are married and they have children, and they're living really good lives. Is that the kind of stuff you see on the news about people with mental health problems? No, right? So that's one of the reasons why I'm working here, is because I'm trying to bring awareness to people to show that people that have depression, like me, I was diagnosed with depression around your age, and anxiety. People that have schizophrenia, that have bipolar disorder, or et cetera, anxiety, that they can have a normal life, that they can have a stable life. Basically, that their condition is treatable. So as I said, I have my own mental health challenges, and you've seen where I've come from, and you've seen what I've experienced. So I got a master's degree. I've traveled all over, different parts of the world. I'm very successful. So that's what we're trying to promote. And we're trying to promote mental health as far as for everyone, because anybody can have a mental health challenge, right? Something can happen in your life and it can make you really depressed. So when we talk about mental health, we want to encourage everybody to take care of your mind, whether you have a mental health diagnosis or not. So making sure you're not stressed. Or when you are stressed, what are things you can do to make sure that, emotionally you're taking care of yourself, right? Maybe if you get angry, you want to punch out a wall. Okay, well, what's another alternative to that, right? So that's what we're trying to promote for everybody, because just as you maybe, we're always taught, right, to eat right, eat healthy, exercise, to take care of our what? Our bodies, right? So there are things that we need to do to take care of our minds, okay? Anybody have some, what are ways you take care of your minds or your emotions?
I cry.
And that's good. That gets it out, right? So that's a good thing, okay? What else? What are ways, if you're feeling sad or angry? Exercise is great for your mental health, because like when you exercise, there's chemicals, feel-good chemicals that go in your brain and they make you feel better. I know sometimes if I hit a low, then sometimes I can tell, like, I haven't been exercising, I haven't been eating right, maybe that's why I'm feeling sad. So then I have to go take care of my body. You're going to say something.
Well, like when I'm feeling yelled at me and getting mad and start crying and stuff, I just sing.
Music. Yeah, music is great for your mental health. Yes, girl, I would get, yes. I sometimes, I've had those days where I'll go in the living room and put on my favorite CD or whatever and dance and like sing, and I feel better. So those are just a few things that you can do. We all have to take care of our mental health. So those are just a few things you can do to take care of your mental health. You all get any more suggestions? You guys? Sometimes people have to scream to get it out. Or journaling. What I used to do when I was little, and I didn't even realize this, I would color. Sometimes I would get mad and be like, I can get what I want. And then I go in my room and color, and it was very therapeutic, and it made me feel better. Some people do art. Some people draw. So there's all kind of ways you could, and then too, if you need to talk to a counselor, that's also too a way to take care of your mental health. And so what we're trying to do is end the stigma so people don't, because sometimes people feel ashamed that they have a mental health challenge, and we want people not to feel that way. So what I do is I interview people who are doing great things in the community to try and help people with mental health challenges, or interview people who have mental health challenges to try and show just a different perspective to show that it can be managed. So next slide. So I forgot to tell you what I do. I host a podcast called Mental Health and Wellness Radio, okay? And that's where I interview people. And there's a flyer in your packet I'm gonna give you. So that's why I interview people about their mental health challenges and about issues surrounding mental health. And so I've worked in radio, and I also produce a show for peers called Mental Health Matters. It's a talk show. And I also was lucky to work in film. So this is a documentary we've done called Shine, where we followed 3 youth who are dealing with trauma. Anybody know what trauma is?
Something that happened in the past and you're still dealing with it?
Yeah.
The after effects of it?
Yeah. And it's something very what? What's the word?
Scary?
Scary or emotional.
Traumatic?
Yeah, traumatic. So it's something maybe something very bad that happened, and that can affect your mental health. So like we said, what are ways that to handle that? So these are 3 people in the film. So the guy on the left, Arthur Winiarski, amazing guy. He's a rapper, and he goes out and talks about keeping peace. He was shot and robbed in San Francisco, and he was left paralyzed, and so that created depression for him. The woman in the middle, who is amazing, Marquita Parker, she was sexually abused. And Brianna Williams, who works at Peers with us, she talks about just kind of like family issues and kind of growing up awkward. So I'm gonna show a clip from the film. It's a really great film. You can watch it for free online. I'm gonna show a clip, just a quick clip. Let's see.
Mental health is so important to all people's lives, whether you have a diagnosis or not. Because if your mental health is not well, nothing else is well. Your mental health translates to all other areas of the mind, body, and spirit to me. So I feel like whether you have a diagnosis or not, your mental health is very important to your overall well-being. It's really hard to describe what it feels like to deal with mental health challenges when that is your reality and you don't know any other way. Like for example, when I was a younger youth, like in middle school and high school, I didn't understand. I didn't understand what was wrong with me. Why couldn't I be social like everybody else? Why didn't I have... Okay, I'll stop. Why didn't I have a bunch of friends? Why when I went to a party I couldn't dance? Why wasn't that even fun for me to be at a party like everybody else? Why can't I get a boyfriend? Why? It was just a lot of why. I didn't understand why I was so unrelatable to my peers. Once I educated myself around it, once I came to terms with the fact that I had a mental health challenge and that it was nothing wrong with that because it's a health challenge just like any other health challenge, it became much easier.
So sorry about the technical difficulties, but thank you for your attention. I appreciate it, and I appreciate all your feedback and some of those mental health wellness tools I'm gonna use. So thank you. Okay.